Hello everyone, once again this is Dreth and this is gonna be about my custom 1/12 scale Batmobile from the 1989 Batman movie from Tim Burton. So as you can see here, it may not be as long as it should be, but I wanted to get pretty much all the right curves and all the right details to at least make it resemble the iconic car. It's my favorite. So that includes all the different gadgets and details, even though they may not be fully up to scale, but it's alright because I just wanted to get the iconic look out there. There are some things, some details that I got right, others not so much, but a lot of it had to do with working with what I had and the limited knowledge. So even things like the wheels, I couldn't really do too much other than paint them in a certain way, and other details did take me a long time to just go back and try to get as close as possible to the right thing. Now of course it's symmetrical, so I have to do the same on both sides, including the compartments for the Gatling guns and the front area, which is very iconic, and this includes headlights and even the hatch that I'm gonna show in a little bit. Now I had to do several paint coatings, but some of it was hand painted, just like the wheels. I really like the fact that I was able to get a lot of things right, even if they're not 100% perfect. Including the back area, which includes the turbine and rear lights and such. I don't know what these are, but I got them there, just to complete the look. Now, one thing that I really wanted to focus on was the accessibility, and I wanted to make this actually work even if I had to do it manually and not automatically. So this thing does open up and it can house up to 2 figures. We can take this off and I can show you in depth a little bit more what's inside. Now this is the Neca 7-inch scale 1989 Batman, and it was made pretty much for him. Now, even though he could be a snug fit, other figures, smaller ones, seem to fit perfectly, just like this DC Multiverse Wonder Woman from the 70s show. Inside, we got seats, and I'm gonna show you, we got a steering wheel and even a GPS navigator system with a dashboard and everything. I will show later on how I got those things in there. I'm not sure if this is called a hatch or whatever, but this canopy thing does slide back and forth as you saw, and I can remove it easily. And it's pretty much flush, although not 100%, but it's pretty close, and it takes not a whole lot of effort to move it back and forth. As you can see, it's only just like a stick in the middle that's just keeping it in place. It's not the most advanced system, but it does the job, and it keeps it from wobbling left to right for the most part. I originally wanted to have these transparent, but it was a pain, so I just left it black, and there's not a whole lot of harm in that, I think. Now this thing, one of the things I wanted to do towards the end, because a friend gave me an idea, was to actually have it turn on the lights. So I flip over a switch under here, and lights do come on. Now I do not only have headlights, and by the way, these are bike reflectors, and they give off the perfect color. Now I'm gonna flip this over and turn it around, and you can see also the rear lights and the effect from the turbine is also hooked up, so everything lights up. Okay, so we've seen how it turned out, but how was it made? Now, a lot of it is epoxy sculpt, but there is a base, and this is from the Spin Master Armored Batmobile that, even though it's pretty kick-ass, I felt that was lacking in some areas. So I originally just wanted to expand the rear fins, as you can see here. That was it. But then it just snowballed. How much can I get away with? And it just turned out that I was able to do a whole lot. Initially, I used a lot of clay because I figured, hey, this would be a nice filler and then I can just put epoxy sculpt over it, but that turned out to be a mistake. What happened was that when I got to sand it down, eventually I made it all the way down to the actual clay, and that turned out to be a problem. So in hindsight, I should not have used clay, and if I still had to use it at some point, then definitely not to the volume that I used initially. Here you can see that I hold it out right in the center, and then I use that same Play-Doh or whatever cup as a guide in order to create that center front turbine. Now, a part I really had fun trying to figure out was the actual latch, or whatever you want to call that. I never came up with the official name, so I'm just gonna call it the hood or the hatch or the canopy. And I had to remove a great part of the original one. But funnily enough, even the last picture you see here is not the final version, because this one is a lot shorter than what ended up being used. But originally it was just going to be this short stubby latch. Now when it comes to the rest of the shape, you can still see here that I was using a lot of clay even to fill out the front and the back, but at the same time I was trying to work on the details on the sides. Now when it comes to anything metal, it was a challenge because I wanted to actually look like metal, but I had to try different things. So for example, I used a stainless steel straw. I also cut up Allen keys, and I also tried to just make it myself with epoxy sculpt, and figuring, hey, maybe I can just polish this to the point and paint it to the point that it actually looks like metal. Eventually the stainless steel straw was the one that won. I did say I was gonna show how I made the interiors, and that is where this car comes in. It's a Barbie car, and I ripped out its innards. And this is the dashboard that you see there. I repainted everything that was pink, obviously, but also the seats were yanked out and they were transferred over. The zero ones obviously are the best Batman seats. So I had to basically chop them off right in the middle, glue them, sand them, paint them, and then have to find a way how to attach them to the actual base of the car. You can see initially here that the windows used to be transparent, and this is how it originally looked, and the shells of the car is the only thing that survived, and I believe it's long gone by now. But I had to rip out everything in order to cut out the actual dashboard and the seats. So it was pretty intense having to do so much cutting and being careful, because I only got one of these, and you know, you gotta get it right. But yeah, the only thing I had to paint was the pink parts. Everything else pretty much remained the same. Now the hatch or the canopy moving forward was not an initial idea, but it did go very well with it. I didn't have a clue on how to do it, but eventually I guess I just took inspiration from a toy version of this, a very small version that had a sliding canopy, and I used the same concept as you can see here, and that's me testing it out to make sure that it is able to move back and forth but not get stuck all the way in. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave you with some photos here. I appreciate you take the time to click on the video and watch this whole thing. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Until then, thank you very much for watching. Like, share, and subscribe, please, especially on Instagram. And we'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Oh, and by the way, the background music, I'm gonna leave that in the description below.